Hi everybody, it's Janet with Fruit of the Vine Art Studio here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Let me just pull it up real quick on the computer. There we go. Now I can see it. That way when you hop on, I would love it if you would just say, hey, hi, tell me where you're watching from. Give me a little comment here. At least let me know I'm on the right page. Anyway, what we're going to do today is going to be so very, very simple. Now, I'm going to be using a napkin. This napkin happens to be sent to me by my friend Carol. She sent a napkin to me that's got this beautiful flag motif on it. And it's on all four sides of the napkin. And I thought, well, I'm going to use that for something for Memorial Day. And then I saw these pretty poppies, and I thought, oh, you know, a friend painted these poppies, and I thought that looks so pretty, poppies in the jar. And I thought, well, I'm going to do something similar to that. Now, this is just an idea that I've got here, and you guys are going to come along with me as we do this. I went online and I found some pretty painted poppies, and I just cut them out. So they're just printed on regular paper, and they're just little poppies, painted poppies that I've cut out, a couple of little buds to go along with it. I made a mason jar template, just a small mason jar template, because I thought 3 mason jars going across here would look really cute to go with these poppies. So I've got my napkin, right? I'm going to use my napkin. I've got it cut in half. I'm going to keep this piece for another craft. Why not? But for what I wanted to do, it's going to take more than just one square because I wanted to use 3 of them. No, I don't really have to use 3. I could just do the 2, and that wouldn't hurt anything. In fact, maybe that's what I should do, is just do 2. Let me put this right here, and we'll just go from here with these 2. So this will be simple enough. What I did was I took my template, I laid it on the back, and I just went around it. You don't got to worry about it being perfect because you're going to cut it. You just want to be able to see it. So now I've got the template on the back here, and I'm just going to use 2 of them. So let me just take my scissors here, and I'm going to cut this piece off that I'm not going to be using. And I haven't even taken the backing off yet, as I want to try to cut it before I take the backing off. It's much, much easier to cut when the backing is still on your napkin. So we'll just put this off to the side too. Now I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out the mason jars that I drew on here. Now this one's already drawn, so I'm just going to take this and go around real quick. This one's going to have the stars showing up in it. Just take me a moment here. I thought about cutting them out beforehand, and then I thought, well, you're really not showing much of the craft if everything's all completely cut out and all you're doing is coming on here and just slapping it on the canvas. So I'm taking the time here to cut this out with you. Okay, so now we've got that little mason jar cut out. And we do need to peel the backing off, though, that's for sure. If you don't, then you're going to get a big wrinkled mess when you go to do what we're going to get going here. Just bring this around right here. Now I'm going to be using Mod Podge, of course, to adhere this to the canvas. So this is going to be another little mixed media type project that we're doing here, using Mod Podge, using a napkin, using printed paper from a printer, and then we will be using a little bit of paint too. So now I'm just going to peel the back off of it. I don't need that part. Peel the back off of this one. There it is. There we go. So now I've got my 2 little mason jars that I've cut out. Excuse me. So what we're going to do first is we are going to put these onto our canvas. So I'm going to put them a little bit apart here. I don't want them too close. about like that. So I'm going to open my Mod Podge. And I'm going to put some Mod Podge right on the back of this. Oh, there goes the phone. Sorry, folks. Not going to be able to get to that at the moment. You'll just leave me a message. I will get back to you at my earliest convenience. A lot of people don't even have landlines anymore. We still have our landline. We're old-fashioned like that. You can leave a message. Alright, so now we got the Mod Podge on this one. We're just going to take it and put it down here. And just work it around with our fingers. I can still lift it up. Just very carefully put it down. It doesn't matter if it gets wrinkles in it. I just don't want it to have a lot of wrinkles. There we go. And instead of putting the big glob of Mod Podge onto my canvas, I wanted to be able to have the paint stick around it. So we're just going to do it that way. There we go. Push that back over just a little bit. And I'm just making sure that it's all the way down. That looks pretty good. Now we'll do the same thing right here. Just putting the Mod Podge on the back side of this little napkin. If you feel more comfortable putting it on your canvas, just by all means do it that way then. Don't worry about how I'm doing it. You can do it whatever feels most comfortable to you. I want them to be about in the same location as far as how far down on the canvas they are. So let me just kind of work that up right there. Right there. Now, if you wanted to, you get to put that on there and let it dry, but I'm not going to be so worried about that. I'm not so worried about a wrinkle being on it. That's all right. That's not my main concern, is there a wrinkle in my Mod Podge. Here, you need just a touch right there on the tip of you. We'll give you a little touch. Maybe a little touch right here at the tip bottom. We'll give you a little touch, just not too much. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, we're not done with our Mod Podge by no means. We're not done with that at all. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to work on a little bit of a background area here for this. And for this, I am going to use some paint. So I'm going to get some dark blue. And I don't need a lot, I just need a little. And I'm going to use some white. Okay, we'll put these right back down here so they don't cast any shadows for us. And for the moment, we're going to just scrape this as much as possible back on there and just put the lid on it for the moment. And we're going to stick this in some water. Just leave it be. We'll squeeze that out in just a second. And I'm going to get me another sponge brush. And I'm just going to get into this dark blue. And I'm not going to worry about putting it on perfect. I'm just going to go around. Kind of bringing it into the same area here. That's what I like about the sponge brush. You can take your hand, you can kind of conform it to the way that you want it to fit onto there. And yes, it still touches little spots, but it's not going to hurt it. And we can quickly fill an area using the sponge brush. And like I said, I'm not looking for complete coverage here. I'm just getting some of the darker blue onto the canvas. This is our table area in the background, so to speak. Okay, then we're just going to get a little bit of white in there. Tap it off to the side and just work a little bit of white over on this side. Down along the bottom, I'm going to leave a little darkness underneath both of them. Okay, now we're going to get a little bit of the blue, and we're just going to dip in the white and the blue, and we're just going to start filling in the background with it. And we're just going to get more of the white, and just let the dark blue work itself in there too. And as with the bottom, I'm not worried about complete coverage. I'm just wanting to get it as a base coat onto my canvas. Turn it this way a little bit. I'm going to work right up this middle area here. Now I will be using my paint pens. I'm going to be using a black and a white Fleicy paint pen. Filling in this whole background, just sort of smushing it around. Use up all the paint that I got out. And every time you think to yourself, is there enough paint in there? Sure it is. It's a sponge. Squeeze it. Okay, so now we've got this stippled looking background here. I'm going to get that just a little bit closer to the edge. And a little bit closer to this edge. Like I said, you can squeeze it and get a little more out of there. Right against the edge there. Okay, so now we've got our two pots, our two mason jars, and our backgrounds completed. Okay? So now we're just going to take this one, and we're going to throw him in the water. We're done with that. This is going to dry kind of quickly here, and while we're waiting on that to dry, we're going to go ahead and Mod Podge our poppies above in different areas up here above where our mason jar is. So I'm going to go back to my Mod Podge, and I'll squeeze the water out on this sponge. I didn't want it to sit there and dry out while I was working on something else, and it would. You can ruin a good sponge that way. Okay. Get this backing here from a different napkin that I've used. And I can see one little glob of paint. So I want this to kind of dry quickly. So I'm going to take this and just kind of go in here and pick up where it's wet. Because I want it to dry. And I need a little bit of color right in there. There we go. That's good. Okay, now I'm going to take my Mod Podge again, going back to my Mod Podge. This is a way for you to be able to make something for someone without actually having to draw it. You just cut out with the template from a napkin, the mason jars, and then you go online and just look up some pretty painted poppies and cut them out, print them, cut them out. Get you some Mod Podge. Get it on the back of it. Place your flower up above the flower pot, the mason jar. Take your finger and pressing down. Do the same thing to the next one. Put this one over here. Just taking my finger and pressing it down. Now with this being on printed paper, it doesn't wrinkle. I can put that down real easy. That was very simple. Very, very simple to do. Put that one right there. Get this other one right here. You could cut these from a magazine if you have a magazine that's got some pretty flowers in it. Doesn't have to be printed paper. You could use a magazine. Cut you out some beautiful poppies. Let's put this one right there. And then I've got some cute little poppy buds. Oh, uh-oh. I'm making a mess. That's all right. We know. You ain't getting it on you, you ain't having fun, right? Believe me, I'm always getting it on me. And we'll make this little bud like right here, coming over the edge. Get this little bud. We can just have him sticking up out of the edge. Oop, get on there. Maybe you ain't got none on this side. There we go. Get this little bud. I'm gonna put him coming up right here, ready to bloom. So far, the only thing you really need to do with your paint is just get you a sponge and sponge some color in the background. Very, very simple. I have complete faith you can do that. And then let's take this one and maybe hang him down like this over this edge. Okay. Alright, and that just kind of looks a little odd right now, doesn't it? Just sort of disembodied flowers sticking up there in some odd looking mason jars. But that's okay. Hey Steve, thank you for commenting. I really appreciate that. I'm going to take this and go around the out edge here and try to get up most of what I've got up on the top here where I dropped it. Get that out of there. Put this back in the water. I'm going to wipe this so the next time I go to get in here, it's not all stuck. I'm learning. It helps. It really does help. Okay, and now I'm going to get my paint marker. This is a Fly C paint marker, which is nothing more than acrylic paint in a pen. So you take it, shake it, and then you press it down a couple of times. I got a hair by the side of my nose or something. It's tickling my face and aggravating me. Press it down a couple of times till the paint comes down into the marker. There we go. And then we're just going to take this and we're going to go right to the bottom of this and we're just going to draw a line coming right into the pot. This one's going to come right up over the edge like this. His little head's kind of hanging down a little bit. This one's starting to come up. See? All I did was drew lines into it. I'm going to do the same thing here. You look for the little black bottom at the bottom of the flower. Take that. You can make it kind of come over this way and curve back. Doesn't have to be just straight down. You want to give it a little bit of a life movement to it. Take this one. Let's say we take this one and bring it right back behind that one. This one here. Just go like that. Here, curve up, and we'll bring him all the way over to here. Okay, so that helps our poppies quite a bit. And you can take this and you can go around them if you want to. Don't have to, but you can darken up down here on this side. Just as a little shading. Darken up right here on this side. A little over here and a little over here. Don't have to go all the way around it. We can just do just a little bit on it. Helps your paint pen kind of blend it in a little bit. Where you added that onto it. And we're just getting the undersiding of it. And just down underneath this one. See how it's starting to take a little more shape now? Now we're going to outline our mason jars. Just go around the top of it right here. Get it right on the napkin too. It's not going to hurt it. You want it to show. Giving it a little bit of definition is all it is. And you can always press your pen down and get more of the paint to flow. You can kind of see when you get to that point where it needs a little more paint flowing in it. Okay, now at the top of my mason jar, I'm going to make a couple of lines with my black pen, because your mason jar has the rings around the top. And then we'll have a little bit of shading just down here, over here on this side, right across the bottom, maybe a little up in this area. There we go, and then let's do this right here at the top. Now we need to make the back of the ball jar coming around this way. And I'm just gonna very lightly drag that over to give it a darkened look. I'm gonna do the same thing up here. I'm gonna outline my mason jar. More paint going. See, now there's so many things you can do with napkins, and if you can't find the napkins, you could go online and search for them and purchase them that way. Or you can just find something neat from online and print it out with your printer and use that to make these. This is so simple to do. I mean, it's just an image that you can Mod Podge onto a canvas and add a little bit of color around it, and you can create all kinds of stuff with it. Okay, and then we're going to make the lines coming off of this one going around. Out like that. Down at the bottom. A little across here. Up the side over there. And if you don't have a pen, you can always just use paint. You know, just use you some black paint to make little highlights on it. Just fun little lines, fun little highlights. Get your white. Get it flowing. Put you a couple of lines of white in there. Do the same thing over here. Just put some white going down this way. Down at the bottom here. curve the top up here in the blue. Okay, maybe make right across the bottom here. Okay. Now can you see how that looks on there? Now our ball jars are starting to take shape. They don't look like just some napkin glued on there anymore, do they? Just some white and black lines is all it takes to give it a whole different look. And then we can even take this and go right along the top of the ball jar. To give it more of a rounded look and more of a glass type look too. Add you a couple streaks back in there. There we go. You could even take your white and add it to some of the spots that are on the poppy just to make them pop a little bit, to keep them from looking flat. And you can see exactly where to put them just by looking at this. That'll help highlight them a little bit. There we go. We can even put a few little dots right inside it. That's usually yellow, but I don't have a yellow out. So we'll just put a couple of little white dots in there. Just to bring it to life a little bit. Take my black pen again and we'll just darken this up. Underneath this jar. Same thing here. I can use this, press it down right here on my painting while I'm doing this, since I'm just scratching this back and forth. Just trying to get a darkened area here. Darken this a little bit back here. And I think that that's really all we have to do to it. As far as putting the paint on it, I can go ahead and sign off on this. What a very easy way to make some patriotic poppies. There we go. Very little painting involved. Very simple to do. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you again soon. Bye.